In this JavaScript tutorial, I'm going to walk through how you can build out the functionality where you can use JavaScript so that when a user clicks on a list item, it is removed from the DOM and it's added into a different list. And so the behavior that I'm looking to build out is so that I can click on one of these items and it's going to be completely removed, not hidden, but removed inside of the document object model. And then it's going to be created and added to this other list. So here on the HTML side, you can see that we have a div of class to-dos that has the heading and a UL tag, and then we have a empty UL. It just has a placeholder here called completed footer. And what I want to do is to place in each one of the items dynamically right inside of this completed to-do wrapper. So let's get to that. I am going to, inside of this script tag, I'm going to start off by grabbing all of the to-do items. So I'm going to create a variable here called const and then to-dos. And then I'm going to grab those values. So I can use query selector all for that. And then pass in that class name, which in this case is to-do item. Now I'm going to also see which to-dos have been created or which ones have been completed. So I'm going to say completed to-dos, set this equal to document dot query selector, and then completed because it's a class. And then, and as you can tell right now, we do not have this anywhere on the page, and that's fine. That is what we're going to be adding later. So I'm going to also make sure that that's a const variable. And then next, I'm going to create or call that completed to-do wrapper. So I'll say const completed to-do wrapper, and then set this equal to document.query selector. And let's bring in that completed to-do wrapper. Okay, I believe that I have each one of those items selected. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to iterate through the to-dos. So I can say to-dos dot for each, and for each expects a function. So we're going to grab a single to-do, and then inside of this, we're going to add an event listener to it. So I'm going to say to-do dot add event listener, and we're going to listen for a click. And then that click gives us an event. And so you can spell event however you want. I can just spell it completely out like that. Now, I'm not going to actually use this event. I simply need access to the values inside of it. So I'm not going to worry too much about it, but I just wanted to place it in there so that you know that you do have access to it if you need it yourself. So now inside of here, I'm going to pass in a function, and let's create a few variables. Now these are going to continually get reassigned, so I'm going to make them be let variables. So we'll say completed to do, and we'll set this equal to document dot create element. And in this case, we want to create an li tag. So I'm going to say that I want an li tag, and I want to store that inside of the completed to do. And then I need to have content. So this is going to be to do, and let's say to do content equals document dot create text node. And here I want to get my to do dot text content. So we're going to store it in a variable. And now what we can do is check for our completed to-do and then append that child. So I'm going to say completed to-do, append child, and we want to place our to-do content inside of it. And then from there, I want to take my completed to-do wrapper and then insert before I want to pass in my completed to-do, and then inside of my completed to-dos. And if that naming sounds a little weird, then you can feel free to use whatever you personally want. And then from that point, I just need to do one other thing, and that is to remove the item from the pending to-dos list. So here I can say to-do.remove, call that function, and hit save. Oh, and it looks like I may have a little bit of a syntax error. So the reason is because if you notice that when I hit prettify or when I saved it, it looks like we're missing a bracket somewhere here. So let's see. So I have this completed to do right here, or I have the to-dos iterating over, and then that is going to grab the click and the event. And I'm not really seeing where the issue is, but I'm sure we'll see it here in a second. Oh, and it looks like it's working. So I just hit saved again and it updated it. Sometimes Prettify, the extension in VS Code, will do that. Okay, so now that we have that, let's see if it's working. That should be all of the code that we need to get it working. So if I click on one of these, you can see that works perfect. So I can click on this third one, or the fourth one, and that's gotten moved down. Do it again, and again, and it's working perfectly. So let's take a look at the DOM and see what's going on here. And I'll stretch this all the way out and hit refresh and move all of our pending to-dos back where they belong. And so now if I go into completed to wrapper and then our completed to-dos, let's take a look at what's happening here. So what is going on is when I click on one, so I'm going to click on this first one, which you can see is here. If I click on this, it is getting deleted from its original spot. So where we selected it. So when I use that for each loop, we were iterating over the to-do items right here. So we're iterating over those. And then it's getting removed because right on this line right here, on line 43, when I said remove, that is removing it from the DOM spot where it was. And then when I create the element, I'm not really copying that. And so that's one thing that I want to make clear when I'm walking through this. It's not like JavaScript is taking this DOM node and it's moving it here. Instead, what's going on is it's selecting the value, it's extracting that text value here. It's creating a completely new DOM node. And as you notice, there is no class of to-do item when it gets moved down here. And when you click on this, nothing happens like we would want it to be. So this is working right. And part of the reason I wanted to have to-do item here as well, and I didn't add that class in, is because I wanted you to see and not think that we were just moving DOM nodes. The way that JavaScript works with this process is it removes it completely from the DOM, and then it's creating a brand new element for us here. And so if I do that on this item and then on this one, it is replicating that process. So because we have that event listener, it's listening for the click event on any of these items in pending to do, and then it is extracting out that content. It is creating a new node. It's creating a completely new DOM node, in this case an LI node, and then it's adding that with the value, and then it removes it from here. So as you can see, it doesn't really take that much code in order to get this working properly. Really, just in about 10 lines of code, we were able to have an entire system that goes through, iterates over all of the elements, and then based off an event like a click, it will then remove and then dynamically create elements and then place them on other spots on the page. So great job if you went through that. You now know how to create and remove elements based on an event in JavaScript.